first concert in the I Just Want to Play series. And the series kind of came out of a conversation that a group of us had about why we joined the New York Flute Club and what we really wanted. And we all thought that we just want to play. And whether it's classical music or jazz or different kinds of music, we want the opportunity post pandemic to get together and play. Some of us can't do that, some of us are starting to be able to do that. But as kind of an offshoot of the New York Flute Fair, we came up with the idea of having a series that would kind of have that as a theme. I just want to play, and also feature the music of underrepresented performers, people who maybe some of you will never have heard of, but that are wonderful, wonderful musicians. Also, the work of African American, of Latino, Latinx performers, Native American people, and also Asian people. So we're so used to kind of a set uh, menu, basically, of concerts that I'm really excited about what we have in store. And I'm very, very excited about Dotti and Chip, the perfect people to kick this off. They have come to so many flute fairs by popular demand. They give of their time. Everybody loves them. They're very enthusiastic performers, experienced jazz players. They've been working together for almost a quarter of a century, not to make them sound like, oh my, very heavy, but that's a long, long time to be collaborating. They've also been working kind of together on a book, which I'll let Chip and Dottie just talk about a little bit. It's a very important uh, idea about your career and how that meshes with being a musician. So I'd like to have them talk about it. And now, without further ado, grab your flutes because I hope you printed out your music. We're going to play some jazz. So take it away, Dottie.
And I'd like to say good evening to all of you. We're happy that you've chosen to be here with us this evening. And I must say that you must be interested in improvising. Uh, and that's why you're here. And well, we truly believe that you can improvise too. We being Chip Shelton, my co-presenter, and myself, Dotti Anita Taylor. So before I bring Chip to your attention, I'd like to tell you a little something about my journey to jazz. So I was born into a very musical family, so there was either live music or recorded music or the radio that was going, sometimes the TV too. There was music on all of that. And I took to the radio and started searching around on the dial, and I came to a program called Symphony Sid. And Symphony Sid played different kind of music. And his music that he played, or the recordings that he played, had different kinds of harmonies. Now, at that point, I had been studying theory and harmony for quite a while already. When I heard these, I'm like, I haven't heard this before. I love it. It did something to me, made me excited about the music. And I decided I was going to try and find a way to do that. So I have a really good ear. And so I started picking it out on piano. I was playing piano at that time. I started piano first as a really young child. And I started picking it out. I started composing, making up little things. And that was like the beginning. It was such an excitement within me. If I fast forward to age 40, which is not that many years ago, I picked up the flute. And so that's a totally different instrument. So it's all melody, not with the harmonies too. So I would turn on the radio and then I played along with it. And I became like the solo instrument on top of what I was hearing on the radio. And I was really, really excited about that because I said, I've got to get into this. So I started going to workshops and I go to jam sessions, which was an experience because at first, it's not, you're feeling your way. But I was determined. So I went to jam sessions, I practiced a lot, and I also discovered a book like this. There are books that are by a man by the name of Jamie Aebersold. There's written music on the inside with the chord changes, which are like C7, D7, and so on. And in the back, there's a CD that you can play along with. And it's not just piano chords or just a bass, it's piano, bass, and drums. So it's like you're there, you have your own trio to play with. So that was by that time I was really into it and loving every minute. And I haven't stopped since. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to interject also. I was doing this like in my spare time because by age 40, I had begun work. And I was a double major in school, and my two majors were music and mathematics. And I ended up being a mathematics teacher, which I was for 30 years for the Board of Education. So I really had two careers through my lifetime. But I found the time to work on the jazz aspect. And what I'd like to do right now is to play something for you. And I'm going to play the melody, and then I'm going to improvise. And the song that I'm going to play is On a Clear Day, which perhaps all of you know, and which is written by Alan J. Lerner and Burton Lane. I'm playing with the Jamie Abersol recording. Just a moment. Okay, here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
That's my example for you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. So hopefully by the time we finish, you'll be able to do the exact same thing. That's our hope. That's our aim. That's our goal. So without further ado, I'd now like to introduce you to or bring to you Chip Shelton, who is going
Thanks
to
so much,
share
Dotti.
his journey with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everybody for attending. And I have a question for Dotti. Did you say
Yes,
you you started the flute at age 40?
I did.
Oh, that's awesome. I was 21 when I got my first flute, and I thought I was late on the scene.
Oh.
But yeah, my foray into improvisation started preschool, growing up in a little coal mining town in West Virginia. Um, and My dad was a record collector, and he would play Lunsford and Basie, and from the classical romance period, Rachmaninoff. I mean, he had a variety of taste, and my older brother uh, was starting to play drums and was trying to form a band, I would watch him. So you didn't have that many records, so you got to hear those things repeatedly. So one Christmas when I was 5, we drove 32 miles to the nearest music store to try to pick some drums out for my brother. And while, so I'm kind of wandered over to the drums, and I sat there and kind of emulated what I've seen and heard, and kind of tapped out a Gene Krupa solo. And the people in the store and the salesman like, what is with this little guy here? How do you know all that? Well, I don't know how. It's just osmosis, like you, Dotti. It was something that I loved and I internalized, and then I started to externalize it when I had a chance. So I was already in dental school. When I got my first flute, I was a freshman in dental school because I saw no evidence in West Virginia that I would be able to make a living at what I loved, which was music and athletics. So I had chosen in the 6th grade to emulate the only Black dentist in the county. And so I was in dental school when I got my first flute because didn't have access to the piano, and clarinet was kind of loud, but the flute I could practice quietly anytime I wanted. And so besides the $35 I took to the pawn shop that Christmas, would not get the saxophone I was trying to get. So he said, "Kid, you're going to have to get one of these beginner flutes because we just don't have any." Yeah. So so that was so beautiful, Dottie. I'm reluctant to play, but
Oh, no, go right ahead. It's going to be fine.
so what is this thing called love is in the American Songbook, Cole Porter. And similar to the Ebersol that you were playing with, I'm going to play along with something from the iReal Pro app, where you can adjust the tempo, the instrumentation of the background, the feels and styles, etc. So let's put a Cuban bolero feel on Cole Porter. Maybe somebody will answer the question, what is this thing called love? Can't hear it. What is this thing called love? Deirdre knows. Catherine Singer knows. So back to you, Dotti.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Chip. So now we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of improvising. If you don't have your flute out, take your flute out now, because hopefully all of you will have an opportunity to play something or another. I'm going to start with Chip, though. Chip,
Oh, no.
we're going to start with something. Oh, Kathy's going, okay. We're going to start with something extremely elementary. It may be difficult for you, but it is extremely elementary. I would like you to play for me a C major scale from the root up to the octave and back down again. Okay? I'd like you to do it again, but do it slower. We want all of the notes to be absorbed, so thank you. Your
Is
sound
it
is coming
distorted?
in. No, it's coming in and out. Your sound.
Coming in and out, yeah.
It starts out
Okay.
low.
All right. I'm gonna back off from the microphone a little bit. I turned the volume down on the microphone.
Okay. So now I'd like, instead of playing,
when I was playing.
huh? Let's see what happens when you play the next scale. This time,
Okay.
I want you to play the C major scale, but I want you to go up to the seventh, to the major seventh, and come back down again. Slowly. Good, thank you very much. Different kind of sound when you don't go up to the octave. Now I'd like you to do something else. I'd like you to start with the root, but this time I'd like you to go up to the minor seventh or the flat seventh, another name for it. Yes. Do that one again, please, the last one. Thank you very much. Totally different sounds, 3 different scales. One definitely sounds really major. When we go up to the major seventh, that's a different kind of sound. It's like, why don't you finish me? And then when you go up to the flat 7 or minor 7, that's another sound. I'd like, at this point, a volunteer. And if you're going to volunteer, I would like you to say yes in the chat, and then we will know. First one to put yes in the chat will be the first one to be our first volunteer. Yeah, Deirdre, good, thank you. So we're going to do the exact same thing, and we're doing this just so that you really get it into your bones what we're doing, all right, which will help us to carry on. Deirdre, I'd like you to play the C major scale up to the octave and back down again. Do not play it fast. We want to hear every note. Great, thank you. Now, Deirdre, I'd like you to go up to the major 7 and come back down, starting on the root. Good. Now I'd like you to start at the root and go up to the minor 7 or flat 7, or actually could be called the dominant 7. Right. Deirdre, do something for me. Just play the root, go up to the flat 7, and come play the root again. Just first to get a feel. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I'd like another Thank you very much, Deirdre. That was wonderful. Can I have another volunteer to do the exact same thing? All right, Jeff.
Yeah. Okay, what am I doing?
I would like you to play the C major scale from root to octave and back down again. Jeff, we can't see you in the
Oh, hold on.
Can
I don't think I can actually. There I am.
Oh, we couldn't see it for Deirdre,
Sorry.
but that's okay. Go ahead. like you to go up to the major 7. When you get to the top, don't repeat the note. Just turn around and come back down.
Okay.
Okay? Good. What do you think I'm going to ask you to do now?
The dominant 7.
Very good. Thank you. That was excellent. Thank you very much. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to Chip and we're going to do a little experiment. You know, actually anything that we play can be played in any of the 12 keys. Anything that we play could be played in, it'll sound different, but we can play it in different keys. So Chip, I'm going to ask you to do the same thing, but we're going to switch to the key of F. I want you to do the same thing. F major scale up to the octave and down. And now go up to the major 7 and down. I'm going to have to ask you to do that again. Does anyone know?
Oh, I added the root
You
at
did.
the top. Or the,
You did.
the
Go to
eighth.
the major 7 and turn around.
Okay.
There we go. I won't take a point off for doing it wrong the first time.
Thank you so
Now I'd like you to go up to the minor 7 or flat 7 or dominant 7. Good, good. Okay, so now Chip, I'd like you to do, I won't tell you what to do. Do all 3, but do it in the key of G for me.
Hmm.
Good, and next? And the last? Wonderful, wonderful. So now, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to ask for a volunteer. Hopefully someone who hasn't had the opportunity yet to say yes in the chat so that we can have you do the exact same thing. Who's my next brave soul to do so? Anne?
F?
Hi.
Hi.
Can you do it without me giving you the instruction?
Yes, I think so.
I'd like you to do it in the key of F first. Thank you. Very good. Okay, can I have one more volunteer?
I think Kathy Sanger's ready to go. Singer
Kathy?
flute put together.
Oh, Kathy, you ready?
I
Okay.
guess so.
Okay, so Kathy, what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to just play the last one. Just the last one.
Oh, starting on the F.
Yes, starting on F. Thank you. And I forgot to ask Anne to do this, but would you do the same thing in G? Go ahead, Kathy.
go ahead.
Oh, me.
I'm sorry, yes, for you.
I have to think about that one. No, I have to go up one more. See, that's why I.
Okay, no, that's okay. So let's think about it for a minute, all
Okay.
right? The first time when you go up to the octave, right?
Right. You go,
Go
okay,
to
I
G,
got it. I
right?
got it.
Think it through. You got it? Okay. There you go. There you go. So thank you, Kathy. Anne, would you please come back? Or I don't like to slight anyone. Pam, would you please play that in the key of G? You can just do that last scale. Thank you. There you go. Very good. Very good. So I'm at this point going to share the screen. And thank you very much, Anne. I'm going to tell you that that last scale that we're doing, we're calling the dominant scale. And it's actually called the dominant, I'll say this slowly, because that scale is built on the note that is the dominant of a major scale. So we started with C. I'm calling C the C dominant scale. But that C is the dominant of a key, which is the fifth step in a key, which is the key of F. F, G, A, B flat, C. So that B flat has to be played when you play the C dominant scale. It's a mouthful. Can everyone see, can you see my screen? Don't see me. Chip, is my screen visible?
It is, yes.
Okay, I don't see you all this time, but that's okay. So now if you look at this, I'll say that again. C is the fifth degree of the F scale. The fifth degree is the dominant. Each of those notes in the F, in it, each of the notes in a major scale have a name, like tonic, supertonic, mediant, and so on. I've forgotten the other ones. Oh. At any rate, when you get to the fifth degree, fifth degree, it's the dominant. I will think of the others in a moment. And here's the scale. This is what you've been playing. The C up to the B flat and down to C again. My second example here shows that you can do that scale 2 octaves. And I put 2 octaves because you could play this scale starting from any point. I started from E at the bottom, but I could start somewhere in that second measure and come down to the bottom. Different kind of sound. What if I start on the on that B flat? Or I could start on the B flat and stop somewhere along the line. So we have all of those notes available to us to be used. Now if we look further down, here's the F dominant scale that you played, the third scale that you played. F, G, A, B flat, C to E flat, and down again. I want to point out one thing, which is what when Kathy was playing, which I thought of. I'm going to give you permission to unmute yourself if you have the answer. What is the interval between, in the F scale, what's the interval between the D and the E flat in this F dominant scale? Can I get a response from someone?
It's like a half step.
It's a half step. So one other way to get that is to go up to the sixth and then just go a half step up to the minor seventh. That's another, rather than going up to the octave, going up to the major seventh, and then finding that minor seventh. The minor seventh is just a half step away from that major sixth there. So that's another way to think of it. And that's for all of these. That's for the G scale too, for the C scale. In the C scale, we had A, a half step to B flat. In the G, you have E, half step up to F. Okay? So these are our dominant scales, and I gave you the reason why we call them that. And now, the thing is, so where's this going with improvising? So we're going to use this scale to play around, to come up with notes so that we can improvise against what we call chord changes in jazz. Now, in classical music, we might call it the 5/7, or the 3 chord, or the 7 chord. In jazz, we use the letter names, so it would be C7 or G7 or C diminished. What can we do with these notes? Well, we can look at intervals. Let's see if I can get this right now. Okay. If you look at example number 1 here, this is the same scale. But instead of playing it note by note, just going up the scale, you can play the same notes but out of order. And in this case, we're using thirds. So, Chip, I cannot see anyone at all. So, if you can let me know who would like to volunteer just to play this first example here.
Oh, I'll look in chat.
Okay.
Edward Crawford, you
Volunteering.
just put that through.
Okay, Edward.
Let's unmute. Let's hear that.
Okay, Edward, play this first example for us, please. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Edward. Notice this time, in this example, I went above the octave. I used the D from the second octave, which is okay, because I showed you that 2-octave pattern up above. Now, it's a little hard to control. Okay. So now, example number 2, I'd like someone to tell me, what did I do this time? How did I create this particular pattern? In example number 2. If you have the answer, just unmute, please, and let us know. Anyone?
Deidre writes inversion.
Yeah, it's an inversion.
Yes, instead of CE, I went EC. Instead of DF, I went FD. I needed someone else. What I'm trying to do is give everyone an opportunity to play at least something. So if someone else will say yes in the chat and go ahead and play example number 2, that would be great.
I'll try it again.
Okay, thank you.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go right ahead. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so, there are just so many variations, so many things that you could do with those notes going from C up to, in this case, up to the D. Now, one other. I'd like you to look at what I've done this time. Describe it in any way that you can. Just take a look at the notes. Think of the scale. What have I done this time? Look at the first two examples. What have I done this time? Anyone? Unmute and let it be known.
It looks like you've combined some of the approaches with more variation in the intervals and adding scalar passages as well.
Exactly, exactly. So this is an example of things that you can do if you're going to improvise, rather than when you see like a C7 chord change, rather than just playing up from C up to even C up to the B flat to the minus 7. If you mix it up, you play thirds, frontwards, backwards, mix up the thirds with the scalar patterns. And in the very beginning, I skipped from the root right up to the dominant seventh, which I did have two people do early on. So now, this last example right here, we're going to look at something else. We know we can take the scale, you can do intervals, and make different combinations, but the next thing we're going to do is add a rhythmic sense. I'm going to play the first one. And you'll notice they are the exact same notes as in example 3, the exact same notes, but they're just rhythmically spaced differently. So I'm going to count first. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. Quite a different sound than example number 3, where we were just playing the eighth notes straight as they are. And here's another example. In this one, this is another technique. Rather than starting on the first beat, I'll start on the end of the first beat, which gives a little push to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Oh dear, let me try it again. 1. And I want you to notice too, by playing that C on the and of 4 and tying it over, that gives another kind of push to it. It gives it a little different rhythmic flavor. Now I did the first two, and here we have the exact same rhythmic pattern as number 2, but in the key of F. Now I'd like to have a volunteer to play that one, please. And if you've gone before, that's okay.
I'll go.
Okay, thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Okay, you did the same thing that I did. And that is not observed that half rest in the second measure. Want to try it again?
That's a blind spot.
Oh.
You're right. I didn't see it. That's like driving and you see there's a stop sign there and you just go right through
You
it.
just go right through it. Do it again, but do it in the key of F this time. It's the same thing, just in the key of F. Read that second example.
And count
Right.
yourself off, Edwin. That way latency throws
Oh.
off.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, count yourself in so that we aren't dealing with the latency and delay factors. We'll know where your 1 is, in other words.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry. Let me try. 1.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
I did it an octave up.
That's okay, that's okay, that's okay. So now I'll show you, here is the same example in the key of G. So actually, you could just play 2 measures of it, or you could play all 4. You could play 1 measure of it if there's a song that only has, say, F major for 1 measure. Okay. So now what I want you to do is I want you to take the sheet that you have that has the blues changes. And what I want you to do is I want you to play, look at this, and when it says C7, you're going to play the C major pattern that we have here for 4 measures. And then after that, you're going to play just 2 measures of this F major pattern. And then, I think it's 2 measures of the G. Am I right? I'm not looking at 4. Yes. 2 measures of the G pattern, and then back to 4 measures of the C. Okay? Can I have a volunteer to do that? You will play play the music that you have, and you will use these patterns against those chord changes that you see. 1, 2, 3.
Now we hear it.
Yeah, now we can.
That's the blues in C. You hear it?
I do.
Yes.
I do.
That's Dotti playing the piano. Am I
All
right,
right.
Dotti?
So
Yes, that's right.
what do you want us to do over that particular
I
blues?
wanted you to play the C major example here
With that in the background?
with that in the background.
Okay, I'll try it.
Okay, all right. I actually recorded it a bit faster than, but let's see what happens, okay?
Let's see what happens. Okay, let me just let's see if I can get the.
Okay. Now do the F one. Do the one in G.
I'm sorry.
Okay, you can stop it for a second. So what I wanted, okay.
Maybe I
He
went
did
off.
the
That was a good try. No, that was
I think he
pretty
did the
good.
F, and
So-
he was getting ready to do the G.
Yeah. So would you try it once more? When it goes to the F,
Oh, I
you
see.
play these 4 and then play 2 bars of F,
Right.
2 bars of G, and then back to the C again.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
Beginning.
Try once again.
Okay, play the 4 bars here, 2 bars of F, 2 bars of G, and then back to the 4 bars of C.
Exactly. Thank you.
Okay, see if I could do that. Okay, let me see, get the beginning.
Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Here you go.
I put-
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much. You actually did some of your own creations,
Yeah, a little
which
bit.
is wonderful.
Nice, Eddie. Yeah.
So you can improvise. You can improvise.
trying.
So I don't know. It's almost like we need 2 or 3 hours for this, but what I'd like everyone to have the opportunity to do is to play that swinging shepherd blues. So, well, perhaps not everyone, but let's have another person to play the melody for the swinging shepherd blues, and please play the what you downloaded for swinging shepherd blues. So we'll do the best we can. So Anne, would you like to just play the melody for us without the audio track? Just read the notes that you see on the page.
Okay. when I'm stopping. Do you want me to repeat it?
Okay. No, that's enough. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was good. That was good. Can we, we'll just do it without the audio track. Can I have someone else who has the music to just play Swingin' Shepherd Blues for us? I'm going to stop my share.
I can if nobody else is going to.
Oh, okay. Please do so.
So, okay. Well, yeah.
That'll work,
That was
actually.
good. That was good.
Oh, dear.
Yes, indeed.
So, I think at this point I'll say to you, we've looked at the scales with major scales, going up to the seventh, going up to the dominant seventh, and playing the scales straight, playing the scale using thirds going up, reversing the order of the thirds, mixing things up, looking at, for those of you who were able to download it, looking at the chord changes that you see on the music, and basically speaking, basically speaking, you look at that chord, when you see C7, you play that seven, that dominant seven scale. Kathy, you have a
Yes.
comment, question.
Could you send me those illustrations that you used with all like the different scales and the rhythmic variations, and I can put them up on the website so people can download them?
Okay.
Your examples? I thought they were really good.
Okay.
I'm sorry I
okay.
was so shy.
Next time you won't be as shy. But you did participate, so
Yes.
you did at least participate. So I want to share this with you. I mean, the changes that I gave you were blues changes, and I will say this, that the blues is usually 12 bars long, which is different from a lot of other music, right? And usually has specific changes, like the changes in Swinging Shepherd Blues. We dealt with the dominant scale, but that's not all. There's so many other things that you can use when you're improvising, right? There are other scales. Instead of using a dominant scale, you could use a pentatonic scale, you could use a whole tone scale, you could use a half whole, a whole half diminished scale. All of these things you can use, and it'll give you a different sound. A lot of it, you can experiment with and sound, feel what sounds right to you. But then you can use specific things like I was showing you now. In addition to that, we were just using the notes from the dominant scale. But there are passing tones. There are upper neighbors. There are lower neighbors. There are grace notes. Little thing, I did some of that when I played the song when I did on the Clare Day. But I like grace note like that. Using different rhythms in addition to that will help you to improvise in a way that's interesting. There's really no right or wrong way. And I will say something that I was told by my teacher, his name was Frank West, great saxophone and flute player. He told me that when you play a note and it's wrong, the right note is always only a half a step away, up or down. And it's true. When you play a wrong note, just lower it half a step or raise it a half a step and you'll be good to go. So I've been doing this for a long time. Chip has been doing this for a long time. The studying never ends. There's always the 12 notes, right? And when you think of the different combinations of notes that you can play within one bar, let alone 2 or 3 or 4 or 12 bars, right? It's like a big world full of notes that you can pick from to make one music that sounds wonderful. Actually, whether it's jazz, classical, Latin, or whatever, there's still notes to pick from. If you go into Asian music, I mean, or Indian music, then you have other tones to deal with. We're not using that, but it's a big, big pool of notes and half tones and so on. So I'd like you to, oh, one last thing. You can sometimes use the melody, the notes in the melody to improvise. Just follow those notes and mix them up and so on. That's yet another way that you could learn to improvise, all right? Don't forget about this Jamie Aebersold series because there are lots of songs on there that you could just play it and experiment with it using different approaches that we've talked about. So I hope you continue your journey to successful improvisation, and one day you will be on the bandstand too. And at this point, I'd like to ask Chip if you have something you'd like to share at this point.
Well, I just wanted to share that I added in the chat contact information, both of our email addresses, at least one of mine. And if you want to add anything else while I'm talking, that'd be a great idea. The two websites I put up are chipshelton.com and planbyourdream.com. And that second website, it grew out of a book that I released earlier this year called Excel in Two Careers, subtitle Plan B Your Dream, B spelled B-E. And in that book, I profile such excellent two-career and people like Dotti, Anita, Taylor, and many others. Dean Coleman is present, but I didn't get you in the book, Gene, next time. Yeah, it's some detail how-tos of what people who have, in my case, it was non-optionable for me to have something else growing up in racially segregated West Virginia. A music career wasn't even something you could think about. So yeah, but nowadays, I mean, COVID and everything, our livelihood is bumpy at best in music, and I've been full-time in music 10 years already, having sold my orthodontic practice to one of my former students. But yeah, there's how-tos in the book on actually making it work to pursue excellence in what you love and something else that can pay the bills. So that's all I need to say, except that Dotti, what a wonderful way to approach it. I never would have thought how to do it that way. How about we give Dotti a round of applause?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a joy to do. And actually, when you do these things, you kind of learn along the way yourself. You discover things. You know, it's just so interesting, the research and the studying of music. You know, as I say, it's a big pool of notes out there. And the approach to it, there are many different approaches, as I did say. I don't want to go without saying thank you to Deirdre, Darwin, Jane, Jeff, Nancy, Nicole, Kathy, and Nora Lee for helping to have this presentation come off as it has. So give great thanks to Chip, I want to publicly thank Chip for working with me as he has so diligently in this presentation. So I do want to ask, are there any questions or any comments or any statements that anyone has at this point?
Well, I have a comment, and
Okay.
also I want to say thank you to both of you. And but I just think that what you did, Dottie, was you made something that's always seemed very obscure to me. You know, classically trained, and you know, you practice things a certain way, but you made it very simple, clear to understand, and you kind of showed that how the structure is built, how it's built up. I'm really sorry that that some of the audio things didn't work out. And what I think would be fun to do is to kind of send them around to share them with people that came. So maybe Kathy can help us do that. So people have a chance to kind of work on their own. But I really appreciate your time. I love this presentation, and
Oh, thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much.
You're quite welcome. Quite welcome.
Thank you so much for presenting this, and thank you everyone who joined this evening. We'll see you for our next events that are continue to come up. So please visit the New York Flute Club website and keep up to date with everything that's going on. So thank you, Dotti and Chip, so very much. That was a lot of fun.
Okay, our pleasure.
Everybody have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
And November
Thank-
18th for the next I Just Want to Play.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, Deirdre. See y'all later. Bye-bye.
All righty, bye.
Bye.
Bye.